Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. You're your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, cover breaking news, culture, dramatic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Boy, oh boy, this banking collapse domino seems to keep going. Another bank today, it seems like they froze the trading in this one. But I mean, this is a domino effect. So the name of the bank is called PacWest Bank Corp. But that's not, I feel like that's noise. It's terrible to say that. It's definitely not noise. It's going to hurt a lot of people. This continues if this gets out of control. But the signal is, I think that we finally have broken the Bitcoin echo chamber. Predominant podcasters, the one that we're going to talk about today is Tim Pool, said the quiet part out loud on his show. And the reason it's so significant, the reason I want to highlight it today is because of the amount of views, the amount of the size of platform that Tim has, and the fact that he's saying these things, the fact that he's mentioning Bitcoin by name, the fact that he's calling into question the very legitimacy of the US dollar and giving an alternative, I think is the point to highlight. So pretty crazy. So as this continues, as this clown show continues, as this house of cards continues to collapse, and you know the actions by the U.S. government to try to take out the fire, I'm just happy personally, and I hope that you guys are on this boat with me, that we're on the lifeboat. We're on the orange lifeboat. We're on a Bitcoin standard. Right. We know that our wealth can't be confiscated. It can't be debased, no matter what things that they try to do. And I find a lot of peace in that. Opti and Wine have a word for this. It's called Bitcoin Zen. So, you know, while the world around me is imploding or exploding, my wealth is in Bitcoin. And I hope you guys join me on the orange lifeboat. Anyways, before we start the show, I want to bring up my very special co-host, always optimistic. How you doing, Opti?
Doing good, bro. I mean, you summed it up best. Like I've been saying for weeks now, I can't imagine not being a Bitcoiner at this moment in time. And I can only imagine what it feels like to be one of these normies or one of these average people out here that don't understand that Bitcoin is the lifeboat out there. And just to, you know, I said it yesterday, it seems like a lot of people aren't awake. But if you are awake and you don't understand that Bitcoin is the solution to this, opting out of the madness, I can only imagine what you're feeling. And I am sure it is the opposite of what I'm feeling here, because as all of us Bitcoiners know, we're just sitting here with popcorn, watching the fireworks like, man, that really sucks. I mean, Nico, you kind of said it before we went live. I was like, man, it's almost incredible watching all this stuff happen. And you're like, really though? Like, is it really though? Like, we knew this was going to happen, and it is happening. I think the incredible part is just how fast things are happening. And I know that this is kind of a topic that we're gonna touch on today in the culture with our guest, the Mike Hobart. So let's bring him in here, because we're going to talk about his recent 2-part series on our Substack, and part of it was based on the idea of communication and just how fast information is flowing in the world right now. So, what's up, Mike? How you doing this morning?
What's up, guys? I'm actually getting caught up on the news with Nico this morning. I haven't really been able to keep up on everything for the last few weeks. It looks like things are getting pretty spicy.
But does it really matter if you're just staying humble, stacking sats? Like, does it, like, fine, like, it does matter. Fine. That's a terrible thing to say. A very selfish thing to say. I apologize. But like, if you're on a Bitcoin standard, seriously, you don't have to worry about this. Like, even if you're in Argentina or you're in a country that is dealing with crazy inflation, if you're living on a Bitcoin standard, you're not at fear of this stuff. Maybe you can make the argument that you do have to deal with the cycles, and the cycles are brutal, right? But I think over a long period of time, I think after you make it past the first cycle, you reach a level of tranquility, you reach a level of peace, because you know you'll be all right. Right.
As long as you're staying solvent. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Exactly. So, and I think that this idea of Bitcoin being salvation, of Bitcoin being this tool of which you escape, I think is I think it's finally reaching something that Opti and I have been bringing up for a while now. It's finally breaching into the mainstream consciousness, right? And I think that this clip that we're going to play you by Tim Pool is is an indication of that, right? So usually what the political podcasts do is their mechanism of trying to fix this is get out to vote, right? Or or buy gold or buy this. But now finally Bitcoin is being touted as the solution to this. And also credit and shout out to Max and Stacy, because they were the ones that went on Timcast IRL and were whispering in Tim's ear for years now, Tim, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. And as number go up technology continues to do its thing, it starts to become unavoidable. That little voice in your head is like, I should have bought Bitcoin. Okay, you know what? I'm going to buy Bitcoin. I'm going to get on this train, right? So I hope more popular mainstream talking heads start to say this. It's unfortunate that Tucker got let go. We don't really have any allies left in corporate legacy mainstream media, but I think you can't brush this under the rug. It's going to become unavoidable. It's going to become a thing that you can't not say. You can't say the quiet part out. You can't avoid this topic, right? You can't avoid this conversation. It's so funny what Bhutan did though yesterday, the Kingdom of Bhutan, which we talked on yesterday's episode. They just didn't say anything at all. They were just like, fuck the mainstream noise. I don't want to mention this. Let's just keep it to ourselves that we're mining a whole lot of Bitcoin and that we're stacking Bitcoin. I don't want to deal with this crazy, propaganda arm, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways,
but the underdog has to do that though, right?
Yeah. So anyways, everybody, no more delay. Let's get to the numbers. Let's do this.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Brought to you by Nodl. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse, because now you can run a Nodl through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today. All right, guys, I want to tell you about the biggest Bitcoin conference on the face of the earth, Bitcoin 2023. It's coming up in 17 days, Miami Beach, Florida, May 18th through the 20th, 2023. And we have a promo code for you guys. You can use promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a 10% discount on Bitcoin 2023. Let's go through some of the speaker list. We have Michael Lewis, who is the author of The Big Short, Moneyball, both of which have been turned into feature films. We have Michael Saylor, we have Arthur Hayes, we have Tulsi Gabbard, we have Alex Gladstein, Eric Weinstein, Adam Back, Jack Mahlers, Patrick McHenry, Stacey Herbert, Senator Cynthia Lummis, we have Lynn Alden, and we have a member of government from Indonesia. Very exciting for that talk specifically. He's going to be having that talk. I think it's a fireside chat with Samson Mao, who's dedicating his entire life right now at this moment to Bitcoin nation state adoption, right? So very, very exciting stuff. Get your tickets now. If you're looking to get a job in the industry, there's no better place. You got to go to Bitcoin 2023, promo code SIMPLY. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 28,570. Sats per dollar, 3,500. Block height, 787,968. Reachable Bitcoin nodes, 17,096. Blocks to halving, 52,032. Halving estimate April 22nd, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 5,424. Capacity value, $154 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation, 1.75%. And the market capitalization of Bitcoin, $553 billion with a B. In the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin is still a tiny baby. Anyways, I want to read you an official statement by the U.S. government. This is a Reuters article, and this was after basically the collapse and the takeover of First Republic Bank, and more of a consolidation. We talked about it on yesterday's episode of the bigger banks eating the smaller banks, and the bigger banks just keep eating the smaller banks, right? But one of the statements that the Treasury said is the U.S. Treasury Department is encouraged that the First Republic Bank was resolved with the last cost of the deposit insurance fund and believes the U.S. banking system remains sound and resilient, a Treasury spokesperson said early Monday. Okay, so that's what they said Monday. Fast forward. This is today. PacWest Bank Corp, another bank, their stock is falling like a shitcoin.
God damn it.
It doesn't really install a lot of confidence when they say this. But again, it does not matter if it's just Bitcoiners saying this within the Bitcoin echo chamber. What needs to happen is that this type of conversation needs to be broken out of the Bitcoin echo chamber. And here is Corey posting a clip from Tim Pool. And Tim Pool is saying the quiet part out loud. He's thinking what anyone with common sense is thinking. I'm going to play you guys the clip and then we'll talk about it.
Regulators seized First Republic Bank and struck a deal to sell the bulk of its operations to JP Morgan, Chase & Co., heading off a chaotic collapse that threatened to reignite the recent banking crisis. Yeah, dude, you stuffed a wad of toilet paper in the hole. I don't think you're stopping the waters. JP Morgan said it will assume all of First Republic's $92 billion in deposits, insured and uninsured. It is also buying most of the bank's assets, including about $173 billion in loans and $30 billion in securities. JP Morgan's going to blow up. What? How can you assume bad loans from a bad bank? They're trying to slow this thing down. As part of the agreement, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp will share losses with JP Morgan on First Republic's loans. You see, there they go. The agency estimated that its insurance fund would take a hit of $13 billion in the deal. JP Morgan also said it would receive $50 billion in financing from the FDIC. The U.S. government is propping up this deal because the system is imploding. I can't tell you what to do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy Bitcoin. I already got some. I've been buying some recently.
Hear that? Fuck this shit. I'm gonna buy Bitcoin. Now, why is this significant? What is the point of that, right? So Timcast IRL has one of the most popular podcasts right now. These are views. You have tens of thousands of people watching this live, and unlike Tucker, that was working for the mainstream corporate media apparatus. I wouldn't even call it mainstream anymore. Let's call it legacy apparatus. You know, Tucker said this himself. It's not Nico saying this. Is used to control the narrative, the mainstream narrative. Tim has his own platform. And if they take him off YouTube, he's on Rumble, right? And if they take him off Rumble, he's on Twitter, right? So again, you know, it's like a boat that's leaking, right? You can only plug so many holes in. And when you start saying the actual solution to the political woes and the economic woes that people are enduring, and you stop believing the guy in the suit on TV, I'm talking about the Treasury Secretary in this case, or the woman in the suit on TV, and you start saying the solution, then it becomes a problem. Think about it. Would you take them seriously at this point? This is the same people that told you there was going to be no inflation. These are the same people, without getting into any specifics, these are the same people that told you a bunch of narratives over the last 3 years. How many of those were proven to be true? And compare them to what the hive mind of the internet has been saying. It's clear to me that the hive mind of the internet has been winning this. The official narrative, it's BS. And this is why they resort to censorship. This is why they resort to try to mislabel their opponents. Misinformation, hate speech is another one they like to use, right? But again, because of the internet, because of how much the internet has empowered the individual to speak directly to people without going to these intermediaries that have clearly been captured, it's going to be very difficult for the powers that be, the establishment, the party of green, like I say, to control the narrative and to say, hey, you have to use dollars because dollars are better. Well, look, Tim Pool made that realization, and take a look at the numbers that he is getting on his show. This is daily, on a daily basis, 316,000, 326,000, 352,000, 356,000, 230,000, right? So, man, oh man, this is what Opti and I have been talking about. This is what we've been screaming from the rooftops like crazy people. We're on the verge of the Bitcoin echo chamber being broken and the ideas and ethos of Bitcoin starting to seep into the popular mainstream consciousness. And then that leads to the inevitable next question. Why are we being forced to use money that steals from us? Why are we being forced to use money that steals from us? Why is that? Why can't I use money that not only steals from me, but actually increases in purchasing power over time? And that's a question they're going to have to answer, whether they like it or not. And I'm calling it right now, within the next 4 years. And it's going to be a very difficult question for them to answer. And that is exactly why there are deplatform people like Tucker. They're resorting to censorship. They're resorting to saying, labeling stuff misinformation. They're resorting to saying that things are hate speech. When is the next thing? When is the next thing? Bitcoin is hate speech? I'm pretty sure we've heard that already, right? And you're seeing the establishment and their propaganda arm already trying in full force. Remember what Reuters said when Bitcoin was made legal tender in El Salvador. Remember what Reuters said when Argentina was given that bailout, and part of the bailout, one of the clauses was, hey, you have to de-incentivize the adoption of Bitcoin. Well, their legitimacy, what they're saying is bullshit at this point. They're not reporters. They're not journalists. They're propagandists. And it's becoming very clear to everybody. It's not just crazy Bitcoiners saying this. It's the mainstream saying this, right? It's people like Tucker, people like Joe Rogan, people like Tim Pool. And unfortunately, as much as we love our job, or as much as we love to say what we say and talk to you guys, it's those mainstream content creators. Those are the people that are going to have the ability to really, really wake the masses up, because the masses are already watching them in the first place, right? Bitcoin right now is niche. Bitcoin right now, it's in its little corner. But you're starting to see, and you heard it from Tim's mouth himself, you're starting to see that break. And also, like, mention the Bitcoin conference as well. You have very predominant mainstream figures going there as well. You have Tulsi Gabbard, you have Eric Weinstein, right? Why are they going to a Bitcoin conference, right? You have to ask yourself that, right? And the reason for this is simple. Everyone knows there's something wrong. They feel it in their pockets. They see the political upheaval, right? But they don't know. They don't know what the solution to this is. The solution is Bitcoin. All roads lead to Bitcoin, and it's happening before our eyes. So hopefully, you guys don't ignore what's going on. Hopefully it should be a giant red flag. You're seeing what's going on and saying, okay, you know what? Maybe I should get some just in case it catches on. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts on all this, bro?
Well, going back to the Reuters article, when I saw that, when I saw the U.S. Treasury come out and say, like, the banking system's fine, all I heard was like, trust us, bro, everything is good. Just standard social media talk. But I mean, little do most people know that all banks are insolvent, like, by design. And if they just all went to claim their deposits, they wouldn't have their money there by design. And I just think this is back to the fundamental misunderstanding of most people when it comes to how complicated the financial world is, how complicated Keynesian economics is. The banks are insolvent by design. So, like, this isn't just about the 7 banks that are going down, have gone down in the last 2 months. This is all banks in general. And what's the saying? Like, the official denial is signal that the opposite is happening. So shout out to the U.S. Treasury giving us what is actually happening by via negativa, or whatever the saying is. But
is the U.S. Treasury Jim Cramer? Has it reached that point?
Yeah, basically. But I mean, hey, look, say what you want about Tim Pool. I know he's not the most loved person on Bitcoin Twitter, but he's got a huge platform. And what have we been saying for a long time? If you are not talking about Bitcoin, if you are not pushing Bitcoin and self custody on your audience, and you are a political talking head, like, you are part of the problem. And at least he's coming around to the idea of, oh wow, this is what all the Bitcoiners have been talking about. This is why I should be holding Bitcoin, because again, we said it a couple times on the show the previous weeks, and I had the conversation with a friend, Mark, last or 2 weeks ago. And if you look outside of your window and you don't have your head stuck in the sand, buried in the sand, it's never been more obvious why we need Bitcoin. It's as plain as day if you are paying attention. And so to see someone that is a political pundit, political talking head, to finally start coming around to the idea of what we've been talking about for a long time, I think this is bullish, because I've been saying it for a minute. And this is the thread we've been pulling on the show for a while, is that Bitcoin consciousness is crossing that mainstream consciousness right now, like the Rubicon of the mainstream consciousness, going viral, going public right now, however you want to say it. Like, people are waking up to the Bitcoin message, and it's only a matter of time until everyone wakes up to the Bitcoin message. And again, if you aren't spreading Bitcoin self-custody as a solution to most of the world's problem, at least the fundamental root of the world's problem, then you are a part of the problem. So I'm glad that Tim Pool is coming around to it. It's only a matter of time until he starts telling people to take Bitcoin into self-custody. And then once we do that, then we're really off to the races. He's got 1.4 million subscribers. What if 1.4 million of those average people out there start stacking Bitcoin? Because the most important thing is getting Bitcoin into the hands of everyday people, downloading the wallets, using Bitcoin, saving in Bitcoin. This is how we fundamentally change what is happening right now, is having people hold Bitcoin. This is like the first thing that we need to do, is just get more people aware to the idea that opting out of this madness is the solution. Saving in Bitcoin is the way, guys. And hey, it's only a matter of time until Tim fully gets down the rabbit hole and starts talking about self-custody. And we're in front of this, guys. Like, we're ahead of this. So just keep remembering that you are right, guys. Remember that you are correct in your thesis of the world.
Dude, not only are you right, you're first. You're first. This is the crazy part, is that you're first. Remember, like, all these political shows, like, they complain and they bitch, and this is like, okay, whether you're watching a liberal show or a conservative show, it's like, oh my God, the other side's freaking crazy. But they don't have solutions. Like, their solution is to vote, right? We have a solution, and that solution is Bitcoin. Just opt out. That is the vote. The strongest vote you can make is taking your Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin, earning Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, and taking that said Bitcoin, and you take it into self-custody. You properly secure your seed phrase. That's it. You are part of the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Even if you don't think you are, even if whatever, you've taken your energy, your time, your work out of their grasp. And they've been using that mechanism against us for a very, very long time. Anyways, Mike, what's your take on this before we move on to the news?
I think I'll kind of lump in my take on Tim Pool and Tucker Carlson into the same thing. I think that both of them, both Tucker Carlson getting pushed out and Tim Pool coming to Bitcoin basically at the same time, is probably going to produce a power vacuum. Because Tucker Carlson, as we know, like, when he was still on Fox, he had Max Kaiser and Michael Saylor on his show, right? I think he had both of them. And that's signaling basically through the Fox network that he's already bullish on Bitcoin. Like, he's interested, he's talking about it. And then them pushing him out is a bit of a signal to the rest of the world that, like, something's going on that they don't like, with whether it's all of what Tucker's been doing or whatever. Tucker's going to pull a large portion of that user base and that following with him wherever he decides to go. Now, the other thing is, we don't know if there is likely a severance deal where they're going to try and keep him from being able to do something for however many months or years. And they probably paid him off. But the fact that Tucker Carlson's events and Tim Pool happening this closely together, and Tim Pool, like Tim Pool didn't try to, like, hide his emotions when he read that headline, and he's like, dude, like, I'm sorry for cursing. I don't know if you guys are gonna get banned on YouTube or anything, but like Tim Pool's like, fuck this. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like why am I operating inside this closed loop system that's clearly failing? It'd be like being on the Titanic, seeing and knowing that it's sinking early before anybody's on the lifeboats, and then looking at the lifeboats and going, nah, I think I'm good. Like, honestly, like we think that that's going to work. Like, so I don't know. I'm with you guys. I think, and this gets into like why I've been writing what I've been writing for Simply is like, I think we really are on the cusp of seeing a actual legitimate second renaissance for the broader world, not just the US. I think that there's going to be a lot that comes out of the flood of the populace realizing that fiat currencies are a failure in general all throughout history, and that there needs to be something new, and something new needs to be done as soon as possible to try and like alleviate these problems.
Yeah, 100%. No, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you were talking about the Renaissance, right? I think that once we get over this hill, right, we are going to see a type of freedom of which the world has never experienced before. The sovereign individual thesis talks about this, right? Information technologies are going to free individuals from the nation state in a way, right? It's going to give the individual the ability to pick and choose, to move to whatever jurisdiction they feel like is more favorable to them. You already see this with a lot of expats moving to Dubai where there's no income tax, right? Opti and I have been debating back and forth. I'm like on the fence of whether I want to move to El Salvador or not. Like I'm like very close. So, you know, and again, it's because I know that because I have my Bitcoin in self-custody, I can go move freely to where I'm treated best, right? And I think that as more and more people come to this realization that they can opt out of inflation entirely, right? And they could not only vote with their wallet, but also their feet. I think it's going to make the world a much better place, a much freer place. But again, the powers that be are not just going to give over those keys and go gently into that good night. You know, they're going to try to put up some fight. And that's exactly why we say it in the beginning of the show. This is the separation of money and state. Anyways, everybody, no more delay. Let's get to the news. We got a lot to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Daily News.
The Daily News is brought to you by Blockstream Jade, built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. It's an open source hardware wallet for the cold storage of Bitcoin. Check out the brand new limited edition color, the transparent green Jade. Blockstream Jade houses a full color camera, allowing for fully air-gapped Bitcoin transactions, scan and display QR codes directly on the device, assign transactions, and verify addresses with ease. Use your Blockstream Jade with your favorite wallet software, such as Blockstream Green, Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow. Get yourself a Blockstream Jade today and take self-custody of your Bitcoin.
All right, guys, I also want to give a shout out to our new sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. Yeah, that's right. If you live in a city and you don't know any Bitcoiners around you, let's say you move to a new city and you don't know any Bitcoiners around you, hop on the Orange Pill app and you will find Bitcoiners around you. Look, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really have anything in common with my normie friends anymore. We're operating on a completely different system, on a completely different standard. So now what tends to happen is I relate mostly to Bitcoiners, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sure your day will be full of amazing speakers when you go to Miami and talks. What are you going to do at night? There's nothing worse than being in a city full of Bitcoiners, but you are in your hotel room watching TV. Hop on the Orange Pill app events page and find all the Bitcoiner events on the fly. Download the Orange Pill app today. Find Bitcoiners in your era. It's all about building a community. We're stronger together. Anyways, I want to talk about this. I've been delaying talking about this for quite a while because I wanted to see it develop. And boy, oh boy, did it develop. So we had an episode on this about like 6 months ago to 9 months ago, maybe it was a year ago, about Intel, which is huge, right? One of the largest CPU manufacturers in the world. I mean, there's really only two. They decided to make Bitcoin mining chips. Well, it looks like they backed down. It looks like they're not doing that anymore. Here's some details. This is an article from Blockworks for our audio listeners. So it says U.S. tech giant Intel has cooled on Bitcoin mining after discontinuing its practically new block scale 1000 chip series. The move comes about a year after Intel announced its standalone crypto mining chip pegged to be more powerful and energy efficient than the top of the line ASICs. Quote, as we prioritize our investments in IDM 2.0, we have end of life the Intel Blockscale 1000 series ASICs while we continue to support our Blockscale customers. IDM 2.0 refers to Intel's strategy of utilizing third-party foundries to manufacture products including graphics and chipsets. Intel's decision to axe its mining chips was first reported by tech outlet Tom's Hardware, which noted the company often cites a focus on IDM 2.0 when it plans to tighten resources or pull out of businesses. Intel has previously announced its Blockscale ASIC would ship in the third quarter of 2022, named Argo blockchain, formerly Square Grid Infrastructure, and Hive blockchain as its first customers. But it's not all bad news. Seems like Jack Dorsey's Block snaps up Bitcoin mining chip as Intel winds down production. It goes on to say, Jack Dorsey's fintech payments company Block recently bought a large number of Bitcoin mining chips from Intel, which will accelerate its plans to enter the mining hardware market just as the chip maker winds down production. The purchase will help it bring mining machines to the market as it focuses on developing its cutting-edge 3nm chips. Intel announced in February a last date for the production of its Bitcoin mining application-specific integrated circuit, I could have just said ASIC, in April 2024, as it discontinues the chip. Block recently jumped on the opportunity to buy a large, this is the signal out of all of this. Block recently jumped on the opportunity to buy a large quantity of these ASICs from Intel, it said in a Friday blog post. The firm was planning on finalizing its design of a 5nm chip for Bitcoin mining this quarter and build machines based on that. The purchase means that the team could focus exclusively on the 3nm design, the post said. Anyways, it goes on to say, and this is a bit of other signal, and this is actually something that troubles me a lot. The reality is that the vast majority, the majority, or I don't know, what is the word above majority? Almost all of Bitcoin mining ASIC production is by two Chinese companies. And I don't have anything against China, but specifically the CCP, the government of China, we all know how they feel about Bitcoin. I mean, they're playing two sides because, like, in mainland China, they're like, no, Bitcoin bad, ban Bitcoin. You get a fine if you use Bitcoin. But like in Hong Kong, they're like, you know what? We'll use this. Two countries, or is it two cities, same country, whatever. I forget what the expression is. Anyways. I'll put it at this. Hong Kong,
jurisdictions, same government.
Exactly. So Hong Kong was a former British colony, and it was given back to China in the 90s. But Hong Kong has had some level of independence. So what I suspect they're trying to get the best of both worlds, right? So in mainland China, no Bitcoin, try to control the populace with their social credit system. But in Hong Kong, they're like, hey, you know what? Since the US is being so hostile to these companies, let's attract them here and let's get the benefits of that. So I think they're doing it very smart. Anyways, and that's a big problem, right? You definitely don't want the largest ASIC manufacturers to be from a country that is openly hostile towards Bitcoin. And I think that's a lot of other, predominant Bitcoiners have identified this problem. One being Blockstream and Adam Back, right? They acquired a company called Spondoodles, and of course, Jack Dorsey. So it goes on to say, Block said it aims to improve the decentralization of the Bitcoin network when it comes to mining. Quote, the main problem is, quote, the diversity of manufacturing and supply chain, said Templeton. Quote, we want to make more tools for more people to build and use. When you dig into mining, the ASIC is at the center of mining. The mining manufacturing industry is dominated by two players, Bitmain and MicroBT, right? So it'd be great to have a miner manufacturer from a country that is not openly hostile towards Bitcoin, right? You don't want it to be two Chinese countries being responsible for all of the manufacturing. Now, I know that Bitmain has moved some of their manufacturing overseas, specifically to Thailand, but still, right? How much weight, how much influence does the CCP have over over those companies, right? You definitely don't want to be in that position. Just like Stratum V2 is going to further decentralize mining on the manufacturing front, I think this move by Block is very necessary. And shout out to Jack Dorsey for identifying this problem. The more mining manufacturers, the better. The more mining manufacturers that are based in different jurisdictions, even better, right? So I think that's where we're moving towards. But let's see what happens. Anyways, Mike, I want to get your take on this. I know that you've had your bouts with mining and stuff, so I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on all this.
Yeah, the funny thing is with Intel, I understand and I agree with their concerns because they are trying to hop into the middle of an industry that was already extremely specialized and extremely competitive. Extremely competitive in the sense of it's dominated by the two manufacturers like we just discussed, and it's competitive in the sense of they're so specialized that one of the things with Chinese technology as far as like their production capabilities is it was always rumored that they weren't capable of making chips smaller than I think 7 nanometers. And so like then you go to Bitcoin mining, it's like, well, they're already working on building ASICs with chips that are 5 and 3 nanometers. So like, is it really true that they don't have the capability to go any smaller than 7? So like again, going back to Intel, I understand the kind of psychology and game theory that's going on in this decision, because like at the same time too, and I think I mentioned this in one of your guys' spaces like a week or two ago, or with like the toxic happy hour guys, it also makes sense that they would back down like this right now, and then I don't see any reason why they wouldn't have the intent or the backstage workings to try and produce their own small little kind of like experimental company on the side, or even any one of their former members or former employers or team members or whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff as far as business and business intelligence that goes on that none of us can really see. It's really very comparable to the actual like intelligence industry and like military intelligence, because like there's when big money's involved, and Bitcoin is big money, like especially with the target total addressable market that Bitcoin has, like there's a lot of money to be made. So there's going to be a lot of significant investment by intelligence groups to try and figure out what the best strategy is here. And like the best strategy is going to be a strategy that your competitors don't know about. And I also think that it's really, really smart by Jack Dorsey and Block to buy up as many as they could. And it sounds like from what you just read, Nico, that they're going to be using that as a test bed for probably multiple different reasons to try and produce their own product and potentially take the market share that Intel basically just left wide open. Because there's also the projects like I think Marathon was planning on buying some industrial sized hydro cooled Bitcoin mining products from Intel as well. So I don't know what they're going to be doing. So that'd be a question for Fred Thiel, CEO. But yeah, people think it's like, I think a lot of people reacted like it was like FUD or reason to doubt Bitcoin. But if you know anything about like Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin, it's like this will happen. Like this is like I said, it's highly competitive, extremely competitive, extremely specialized. This is to top it all off. I'm very excited to see where this is going to be going, because Bitcoin mining is essentially going to be leading the charge on revolutionizing microchip technology, because we're the ones pushing the limits on the size of the nanometer. Because like when you get down, like the reason like the target is 3 nanometers is like you're really starting to flirt with the laws of physics down there, to where electrons start hopping across the chip, and they can't because the space gets so small, electrons just jump, and you can't control the flow. If you can't control the flow of electrons, you effectively damage materials, and you can't effectively power the chip itself or the device that the chip is supposed to be running. So this dude, I can't say enough about how excited I am for Bitcoin mining. It's like when I say second renaissance, I wholeheartedly mean it. I don't think anybody really understands how much I actually truly believe that we are seeing the revolutionization of basically every technology on the planet right now.
100%, and it completely changes the energy conversation, right? Because
Yeah.
you have these energy rich pockets all throughout the world that would normally be so isolated from civilization that you couldn't really monetize that. Now, all of a sudden, you know, these Bitcoin miners can go, it's like water. They can go to anywhere. It doesn't really matter. And then for the first time in human history, they can give those isolated energy pockets value, right? We see this on a smaller scale with the flared gas initiative that Crusoe Energies. I know Great American Mining was part of that as well before they got acquired. Right, they're turning this flared gas that would normally be vented out into the atmosphere, and they're turning that into sweet satoshis. Right. And like you could like, and think about it, like, and you see this with the country of Bhutan yesterday, right? It's a extremely, has tremendous amount of electricity capacity or capability, but it's an isolated country. It's a country with not a big population. What are they going to do with all of that excess energy? Well, they realized, let's turn it into Bitcoin. And I think that this is going to happen on a worldwide level, and it's going to completely change the energy industry altogether, you know? And I think the powers that be know that. And I think that's why they're so hell bent on attacking, you know, using their, you know, the propaganda where they change the code, or the New York Times hit piece, which completely backfired on them, I might add. Right. So, you know, it's stuff like that, right? That I'm just super, super excited for. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on this, brother?
Well, just on a general sense, because I can't touch what Mike was saying. First of all, love Mike's insights on all this stuff. But as we know, as Bitcoiners, as free market maxis, competition is good. So it's a shame to see Intel back out of making the ASIC chips. But hey, like Mike said, you know, this is just going to open up space for more competitors. And it's only a matter of time until the chip manufacturers realize that there's probably a lot of money to be made by manufacturing ASIC chips. So I think it's just going to be something that we are just going to need a little bit of time to see this play out. But, you know, shouts out to Jack Dorsey, shouts out the block for picking up that slack and for seeing the opportunity. And it's kind of something that I know we're going to be talking about in the culture, but it's the idea that we always talk about here on the show of saving in Bitcoin and unlocking your human capital. And we're seeing Jack Dorsey just go, you know, absolutely balls deep in Bitcoin and in mining and in everything regarding Bitcoin. And you just love to see it. I just can't wait to see more Bitcoin entrepreneurs do the same thing, and just seeing what else we're going to see pop up in the future and how our lives will improve in the process. Anyways, Nico, let's get into the culture, because I want to give Mike some time.
All right, let's do it. Let's get to the culture, ladies and gents.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. All right, guys, I also want to tell you about the Swan IRA. Bitcoin is generational wealth, and you can secure your bright orange future with the Swan IRA. Real Bitcoin, no taxes. Swan offers both traditional and Roth options to best fit your needs. Create your IRA and start adding Bitcoin in less than 1 minute. Transfers and rollovers are available. Swan's Bitcoin experts will get you set up with no transfer fees and no minimum balance requirements. This is real Bitcoin, not an ETF or other derivative. Get the real thing and get it at Swan. Go to swan.com/IRA for more details. And of course, you could always send me a DM on Twitter if you have any doubts, questions, or concerns. Anyways, Opti, it's all yours, my friend.
All right. Well, Mike already kind of dropped the sauce on everyone, because I was just going to basically do, hey, Mike, I'm going to tee you up on a TLDR. What is this series? What are we talking about here? But you kind of already did it. So maybe you can just pick a jump off point, and then we'll continue the conversation.
Oh, my bad, man. I didn't mean to.
You're good, bro. You're giving
him
the sauce. Give him the sauce.
But yeah, so like what I touched on earlier is like a lot of both the Bitcoin community and the legacy system and mainstream media and normies, they all think that Bitcoin is going to change things because of number go up technology. And I actually think number go up is like the last thing anybody should be talking about. Like it's cool. It attracts like interest and all sorts of this other stuff. But I think that the real value is the Bitcoin mining conversation, like we were just having as far as revolutionizing energy. But it's also the fact that Bitcoin, because of this, the fact that if you custody it properly, it can't just be forcibly removed from you. And between that and the other very important properties of Bitcoin, it brings back like time value. Because with regards to the US dollar, there is no time value in the US dollar. When you can print, Nate said it really, really great yesterday in the spaces after the show, which I also, I think I had a bit mentioned in part 2, where you cannot accurately or faithfully judge a country's GDP when you're measuring it in a dollar that had 40% of it printed within 18 months. That doesn't make sense. Like when you produce that much money and you're like, oh, the country's GDP went up by 40%, but we also, printed 40% of the money. It's like, okay, so it basically went up by nothing. I mean, as far as like the actual math, I'm probably wrong. So don't, take my word for it. But the fact that it gives people back time value, it returns the power of the individual, like it returns the power of time and economic value and frugality and just responsible economics and financials back to the individual, to the point of where it incentivizes the individual to actually make greater value with every iota of time that they have in the day. Because now we have a situation here where we have, I had a tweet yesterday where I talked about, so for example, for health, people are surprised that the population in Western developed countries, they're surprised that the health is bad when our frames have gone in the last like 200, 300 years, our frames have gone up, as in we're bigger and taller. Nutrient density has gone down in the last 50 years. The average nutrient density, I think, of like the average fruit or vegetable you pick up in the produce aisle has like 12% of what it did 50 years ago. People are moving less every day. And the fact that because of the economics of the US dollar, people don't have enough time to actually not only partake in healthful activities, because they have to be sitting at a desk working some bullshit fiat job 8 to 10 hours a day, or they don't have enough time to actually do what is proper for, in the sense of family formation, like a mom or a dad staying at home and properly rearing children, to the point of where the children now are also deficient in just about every societal, like functionally important societal, like capability a child is supposed to have when they grow up, when they grow up to be, teenagers and adults. And when you're considering the economics of a society or the technological innovation of society, all of these matters are important. Like I think there's a quote from Da Vinci where he says, like, if you want to truly like value life, you have to understand the art of science, and you have to understand the science of art in order to understand how everything is like beautifully interconnected. And this is one of the problems with like economists today, like all these morons on FinTwit that claim to be like financial gurus and experts. They try to pick out these very specific little measurements of an economy and claim that that's going to be steering everything into the future. Like that's not how it works. You have to consider every single input across the entire spectrum to understand where the flow of like the future is going, where the flow of modernity is going, where the possible next endpoint is going to be. And right now, like what we're seeing is that because of the US dollar and because of its frugality as far as like the capability of printing it, nobody can measure anything. Like you can't measure how impactful your job is by your income, because the income doesn't matter. And you can't judge the impact that you're having on, pick a thing. Like you just, when you screw up the measuring stick of the country or the economy, it just causes so many downstream effects that people just aren't giving enough credit to. So this is why I think that getting back into the actual energy discussion, because this is where the real value is. So like the time value is getting put back into money. That's one thing that Bitcoin is doing really, really well. And that's one thing that people don't value right now, but they will once more of these banks keep failing. Because Matt Odell put a thing up on Nostr yesterday, which I don't know if you guys saw it, but he said that this is just the start. Like it's almost just like 2008. I think Lehman failed like in March or something of 2008, and then like the whole kind of house of cards didn't really start to collapse until fall. So be careful as far as like this summer and everything. Like people are gonna like, in my opinion, people are gonna come out of the woodwork this summer and just be like, oh, this is fine. Like, see, we plugged the hole. JP Morgan bought it. It's cool, whatever. But I think Matt Odell is correct in the sense of there's gonna be more coming. There's gonna be more issues coming. Like just like Tim Pool said, it's like you plugged the leak with a wad of toilet paper. I don't think you accomplished anything. More people are gonna get woken up to this. So again, that's the money financial aspect of it. But when it gets back into the technological innovation renaissance, because of what Bitcoin is incentivizing and the development of more radically specialized microchips, one thing you also have to understand when it comes to, like, I've written about this on my Substack, when you talk about complex adaptive systems, which like the body's a complex adaptive system, a country's economy is a complex adaptive system. Every input is very, 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 very valuable because every input matters. Because regardless of whether the input fails, you get information out of its failure or success. You get more information out of failure than you do out of success. Anybody who's been an athlete or been in a squat rack or deadlifted, you get more information out of your failure than you do it. Success just tells you you're doing everything right or doing something right. So Bitcoin is incentivizing all of these radical revolutions across the board. Money, economics. It's bringing philosophy back, which is awesome. Like I know Opti, Nico, like the three of us, we all love philosophy. But then when you revolutionize not just the development of microchips, but you completely change the environment of energy generation. Because Bitcoin mining is incentivizing energy generation beyond that which is demanded by a society. When you incentivize producing energy before it's needed, you also incentivize the infrastructure to be developed beyond what is necessary for the capability of today. So, and I talked about this in that article that Opti just put up on the screen, but like, for example, with new nuclear powered reactors, with Bitcoin mining now, theoretically, but they're also doing it over with TeraWulf in Pennsylvania and everything. But theoretically, you can build a new modern nuclear reactor, because none of the reactors that are running today are modern. None of them. At least none of them that I know of. They're all at least 40, 50 years old. You build a new nuclear reactor that these Mark IIIs are so automated and so compartmentalized that if there were to be a meltdown, even the people working on site wouldn't be irradiated. So that's you take these nuclear reactors, you build these nuclear reactors, you have a Bitcoin mining facility that is right there on site or like right across the street from it, ready to just throw on demand as soon as the switches are capable of being thrown. You start producing energy beyond what is necessary by the civil society around it. And then you can allow civilization to develop around these power plants, around these sources of energy, instead of having to build the city first. That's a big thing, because we've always had to build the city first and then find a way to generally you have to build the city first to generate and then find a way to generate energy around it, because you kind of want it to be around, rivers, lakes, stuff like that, because life tends to follow or tends to really pick out areas where there's access to rivers and lakes and water. But now with this, we can build the energy generation and infrastructure where the energy is at, produce it cheaply, produce an income off that energy to start with, and then you can develop and hit the ground running from there. I don't think people understand how much this changes absolutely everything. It changes, and just like how Nico said, is people are gonna be able to vote with their money, be able to vote for their feet. They're gonna be able to vote with their energy demand. I don't know if you guys noticed, I kept speeding up at how fast I'm talking because I get so excited about this stuff. But this is we're literally watching the future happen in real time.
Dude, and it's absolutely incredible. And, you know, I think the news from Bhutan yesterday really confirms what you're saying, is that now nation states are coming to this realization, right? That holy crap, Bitcoin's incentives are completely irresistible. And what the other side has is just it's a fugazi, it's this SDRs, and it's just imaginary, like, print money out of thin air. And Opti's ex-girlfriend, Christine
Carbon
Lagarde,
credits.
use my money, please. I'm Christine. like, come on now. Anyways, guys.
Wait, Nico, before we go on, Mike, can you touch on TLDR, on the idea of communication? Because I say it all the time in spaces. It's the idea, man, we have supercomputers in our pockets, and as we're seeing happen in real time, information is traveling at such a fast pace that maybe we are underestimating, but also at times overestimating how fast this whole phenomenon is going to happen.
Yeah, real quick, because I know you guys have a time slot in the show.
No. Today's going to be an extended Simply Bitcoin episode. We're going to an hour 15, baby.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So the other thing that Opti reminded me of that I didn't touch on that was in the article was that when we're comparing like this second Renaissance to the first Renaissance, you have to look at what started the first Renaissance. The first Renaissance was like this interesting amalgamation and like concoction of different, like, people were realizing that things were changing, but they didn't really know how to, like, you know, put a pin on it, right? Which is kind of like where we're at right now. But then it got to the point of where the Gutenberg press was developed, and then the printing press was developed out of that. And when you get the printing press to where you can mass produce thoughts and ideas and spread them out faster than has ever been capable before, you really, really, really change the trajectory of the future and of history. Because once people get to read competing narratives or competing opinions or new opinions and new narratives, you spark inspiration, and that leads to innovation, that leads to like behavioral changes. And out of the printing press, you got the Renaissance because of all these, like, the Bible spread around. You got like all sort of like I'm not even going to try and quote the other books and everything that circled, because I can't remember. I'm going to get it wrong. But when you allow something like books to be mass produced at a time when books were only capable, like before the printing press, the only people that were allowed to read the Bible were the priests. So they were the only ones that were allowed to translate or determine the word of God, right? That can be a problem because that's gatekeeping. Like, that effectively, maybe it wasn't designed to be gatekeeping, but it allows and incentivizes gatekeeping by the church. So then you get into now compare it to today. We're in an environment where the internet has allowed for very free thought and very instantaneous thought. That's the other thing about the first Renaissance, is like,
dude, you hit the nail on the head, Mike. We're watching the disintermediate. I've said this many times. The disintermediate. So you hit it. You hit with the printing press, right? But what we're living through right now is the disintermediation of information, which the internet started that fire
of mainstream media.
Yeah, exactly. So the disintermediation of information, the powers that be, they're losing their monopoly on this. And then at the same time, there's a bit of a crossover, also the disintermediation of money, right? And it's just, it's creating this chaos. But at the same time, I think Bitcoiners, and I think anybody who's, you know, taking personal responsibility to seek their information and actually to take custody of their wealth, they start to see, you know, Corey calls it the bright orange future. You see it like over the hill. You start to see this, like, this light just kind of shine through, and you get little glimpses of it. But boy, oh boy, we have to go over the hill before we get that. Anyway, speaking of going over the hill, guys, if you want to make it over the hill with your generational wealth, you have to learn how to properly secure your Bitcoin wallet backup seed words. And there's no better place to do it than to put it on steel. Don't put it on paper. Get yourself a BitPlates Domino. They're designed to preserve Bitcoin wallet backup seed words and passphrases made from highly corrosion resistant 316 marine grade stainless steel, and it offers the ultimate protection against extremes of temperatures. Get 10% off anything on bitplates.com using promo code SIMPLY. Anyways,
wait, Nico, hit it. Flick it again.
Oh, are we doing BitPlate's ASMR?
Yeah.
Oh man, look at that steel. That's some high grade steel. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the meme review. Let's do it.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Kaboom Racks. I get this question all the time. Nico, where should I buy Bitcoin miners? The answer is Kaboom Racks. It's the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to find the best deals and the best prices. Start your mining utopia today. To check out their racks, you got to go to t.me/Kaboom Racks. Join their Telegram group and start your mining journey today. Kaboom Racks.
All right, guys. Well, I want to tell you about the touching the tip ceremony that's going to be happening in Miami. All right. I know it sounds weird, but the BTC Sessions and I are going to be coming together prior to the Bitcoin 2023 conference. It's going to be the same week, and we're going to be coming together Tuesday, May 16th, 1 p.m. at the Bitcoin Grove. It's kind of like the Bitcoin Park in Nashville, but the Miami version is called Bitcoin Grove. So anyways, I'm going to read you some of this. What's happening? Nico will have a strip of his hair dyed blonde by the lovely Mrs. Sessions, a live Simply Sessions news show stream, giveaway and prizes, luscious golden locks shall combine and possibly create a god candle, the likes of which Bitcoin has never seen before. And of course, there's going to be a few drinks and we can enjoy each other's company. So you definitely don't want to miss this. Get your tickets quickly. There's only so many that are going to be available. And I definitely want to see a lot of you guys in person. It's going to be awesome. Hashtag touch the tips. Hashtag be Nico or Ben Nico. Ben Nico. Hashtag Ben Nico. Anyways, Opti, what memes do we have? I'm going to cut my hair too. I'm no longer going to be long hair Nico. I'm going to have to change it up.
Wow. Nico
Let's
Suave.
go.
I'm going to change it up for the streak, bro.
Wait, is it streaking hair or streaking beard?
I think I'm going to go with the hair. Bro, it's a passage. Like, as a Bitcoin content creator, you get to a certain point where you're not a real Bitcoin content creator until you streak a piece of your hair blonde. Okay. And shout out to Ben for starting the trend. But
okay, all right.
When is Opti gonna dye his hair?
Never, dude. I had my blonde bleach hair phase when I was like 8 years old when I used to listen to Eminem. It's long gone. Okay,
so you've been there, done that.
Yeah, been there, done that. Okay. Anyways,
now we need a picture of that.
I actually
Nico going full, or not Nico, Opti going full Jonah Hill like it's super bad.
Yeah, exactly. Nico, I'll send you a DM. I don't know if I'm ready for the internet to make fun of me yet. I'll let you make fun of me. All right, guys, this is the meme review. You already know the deal. Tweet to the bullets, meme to the artillery. Of course, we are in an information war. Continue to spread the signal, continue to get people on the Bitcoin standard, continue to ridicule the parasite class, the corporate press, because they're bought and paid for. Plain and simple. Anyways, first meme is by Crypto Graffiti. And I remember they did this one. I think it was it Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank? I forget when this theme started, but we got Crypto Graffiti here and they go, today in front of the First Republic Bank headquarters, shout out to Mark Goodwin for the assist. And you can see out here, they have the U-Haul truck, and out in front of the First Republic Bank, we have Janet Yellen with the infamous buy Bitcoin sign. And on the side of the truck, it is be your own bank. It is our meme world.
I like our truck much better than the skull truck.
Oh yeah, way better.
Our truck is 100 times better.
Way better. Okay, and then on the theme of today's show, we got the BTC therapist on Twitter, and he goes, "The halving is coming. Hashtag BTC." And we got Homer Simpson over here, sleep on the couch with the house on fire, and he goes, "How Bitcoiners sleep when the financial system is collapsing." Yes, this is the way, guys. I am sure if you have your Bitcoin in cold storage right now, under keys that you control, not on an exchange, I am sure you are just in pure zen right now. Just like, hey, it's almost like we told you this was going to happen. It's almost like we knew it was going to happen. Anyways, this next one is by Eric Yates. And, I try to avoid charts on here, even though I do sneak them in here as much as possible on the meme review. Anyways, Eric Yates goes, with the failure of First Republic Bank, we've hit 08 levels for bank failure. This is certainly a crisis. Hat tip to Librarian Views, and you can see here is a chart here, and it goes, the 3 banks that failed this year were bigger than 25 that crumbled in 2008. U.S. bank failures in each year adjusted for inflation, and you can see in 07 it was 500 billion, and now currently this year so far we are, if you can see there, we are above the number of bank failures in 2008. So as much as the corporate press, as much as the government would like to tell you that we are not in a financial crisis, wait, what they say, the banking system is fine, guys. Based on the numbers, it is absolutely not fine, and I think it's something that Mike said, referencing Odell's tweet or Nest on Noster, whatever post on Noster. Guys, I think this is just the beginning of what we are going to see happen, going out the rest of the year and possibly next year. So, hey, who knows what's going to happen, but it's not looking good out there for Main Street. Anyways, this next meme, again, is a chart because it tells a compelling story. And we have, this one is by Lawrence Lepard, and he goes, the most compelling argument for a return.
Macro opti.
Yeah, macro
today.
guy. Macro opti
meme review.
The most compelling argument for a return to sound money. And I've shown you this chart before a lot, but I think it makes our point today, considering everything that's happening in the world, banks blowing up and all that good stuff. The most compelling argument for a return to sound money. Note the magnitude of the swings pre and post 1913 when the Fed was created. They are driving a clown car. And you can see here, the line right here, 1913, you can see a very, very tight trend up here of volatility before 1913 on the gold standard era. And then look at the wild swings since 1913. As Lawrence said, they are driving a clown car, and it's only a matter of time until, we get wrecked out here. So I hope you have Bitcoin in cold storage. I hope you are on the Bitcoin standard. Anyways, the next meme is by Maxie's Club, and it goes 382. I hope you are in Bitcoin Zen. Anyways, we got a Pepe Bitcoiner over here, and it goes, meditation is easy. Just sit, relax, and follow the voice in your head. And the voice in your head is saying, buy more Bitcoin. Anyways, this next meme is by Kim Gage. He's been tagging me a lot on Twitter, so I'm adding you on here, and just goes #Bitcoin. And we got this frog just chilling. It goes, while the Fed tries to screw everyone with their CBDC, I'll be quietly stacking Bitcoin, or like every one of us, loudly stacking Bitcoin and telling everyone they should be stacking Bitcoin. And this last meme is by RDBTC. And I don't remember. I think this might be an old one that we are rehashing here. But again, the message stays the same. This is an evergreen tweet over here, and it goes straight to the FUD folders. Whenever the lamestream media needs to write an article about Bitcoin, and they just look in their folder, and what do they pull out? The same FUD lines: tether FUD, slow transactions, bowl in the oceans, only used by criminals, governments will ban it, quantum computers, Satoshi will sell his coins. It's a waste of energy, and it doesn't scale. These are tried and true FUD lines that I am pretty sure have not died yet. And it's only a matter of time until they roll out the next version. Anyways, drop your meme review score in the chat as we cover them live. And hold on, you go, Nico, because I need to grab mine off the floor.
All right, Mike, you go first. What's your meme score?
My meme score is this dope stealth Bitcoin hat from Bitcoin Hat Guy on Twitter. Oh, I love it.
I like that.
All right, Nico, hold on. Let's go full screen on this one. Since I'm getting trolled in here by, what's my friend's name? Big Mac. Opti's Big Mac coin wallet. Here is the styrofoam delivery case that my KNC cattle comes in. My meats comes in. It's still in my living room. So, yeah. Opti's
eating right. That's
shot
the right,
fired.
That's
shot
the
fired.
Right, that's the right way to eat. Well, my meme score, just to remind everybody who we're up against. This is not left versus right. This is not liberal versus conservative. This is the party of orange against the party of green, the party of slavery, the party of central bank digital currencies. And we all have different descriptions for them. Opti calls them what do you call it? High level parasites? Marty Bank calls them the unproductive class, and Nico calls them the monetary demon. So in honor of that, this is my score.
Just like the Bible says, it's basically an intergalactic invasion into this space through people. I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said. It's what they warned of. It's what we're dealing with. They're demons.
All right, that's my score. Anyways, everybody, please put your score in the live chat. But before we will get to it, I want to give a very special shout out to our clothing sponsor. Opti and I wear the merch every single day. Mike was wearing the merch in the beginning. It's the Simply Bitcoin merch. Opti's wearing the Simply Bitcoin hat. There's more available, by the way. I'm wearing the classic black Represent hoodie. Check out all their stuff. Simply Bitcoin merch drop will be coming out soon. Check out representltd.com, and you can use promo code simply-bitcoin. Get yourself a 10% discount. Anything on the store. Anyways, Opti, before we move on, cue the epic music. All right, first score by J-Dub the Laker, 21 mil. Meme review, an aloha from Kauai, Hawaii on vacay, but woke up early to watch Simply Bitcoin, baby. Oh, man, thanks, bro.
Let's go.
Appreciate it. Be aware and focus as I give those memes 1-in-1 Rusty card autographed on block 787787. Very nice, very nice. Elaine, score, Nico dyes blonde streak orange. Oh. We're not there yet. Maybe in like 2 halvings from now, it just starts to become orange on itself, by itself. Opti's Big Mac coin wallet maxed out. Score, Mike Hobart. Would you rather eat Big Macs all day or grass-fed beef all day? I mean,
grass-fed beef, obviously.
That's an obvious question, brother.
That's not even a question.
The P-Man van. I give these memes a vintage Shure Unidye model 55S microphone. Oof. If you know, you know. Satwise Janks. I give the memes 99% of all Bitcoin will be mined by 2030. I love that. All right, next one. Andres, 30 squats, 50 deadlifts, 100 burpees, 100 pull-ups for the memes. Ooh, that one's for you.
That's a hot score.
That's for you, Mike. And then we got the buzzer. Also, guys, check out, in honor of Mike being here, check out Simply Bitcoin. The written version of this show, you got to go to www.simplybitcoin.news, and you can check out all our awesome work, Mike of which writes for us. It's incredible. Love your stuff. It's absolutely epic. You'd also help us stay on the air. You could subscribe to us. Everything we do is free, but if you feel so inclined, it does help us out. You can subscribe to our Substack. Anyways, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. It's an honor, dude, that you're on our team, that you're on our side. Happy that you're on our side. Happy that you're not on the party of green. Anyways, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs?
Hell yeah, man. First of all, I'll say I love you guys. So that's why I work with you guys. It's like I enjoy hanging out with you. I enjoy working with you. So, but if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's down on the bottom left, at the Mike Hobart. And then my Substack is Just Hear Me Out. So justhearmeout.substack.com. Other than that, that's really all. Those are the only 2 spots that I'm active. So if you have any questions, you want to reach out, just shoot me a DM on Twitter, and I'll respond to the ones that aren't disrespectful.
Right. I liked how you prefaced that. Anyways, everybody, Mike, thank you so much for joining us today. Guys, if you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing that you could do to help push... Ooh, I just smashed the mic. I apologize. Number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful revolution forward is share all Bitcoin content. Of course, you could share our channel, but just share all Bitcoin content. That's how you push this forward. We're breaking through the Bitcoin echo chamber today. I think, Tim finally came to the realization over a couple of episodes. He's like, wow, I should have listened to Mike. And now he's getting to the point where banks are collapsing. I'm buying Bitcoin. F that. That's where we are in the movie. But anyways, we love you all. Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to hang out in the after party, we are hosting in spaces with our friends over at swanbitcoin.com. Best place to build your Bitcoin stack. Shout out to the best producer in the game, producer Jacob. And we're holding it down till 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So about 30 minutes. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
What's up, guys? As I told you yesterday, we are going to kind of continue the conversation that we had yesterday. As you guys know, we had our close friend Mike Hobart on the show today, so he is already in the spaces, and I am sure we are just going to double and triple down on everything we said on the show today, as well as yesterday. So, of course, you already know the deal. This is a Bitcoin space by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. So, do not be shy. If you want some health advice from Mike, some fitness advice from Mike, come up here, ask some questions.